In today's global financial system, something very unusual is quietly taking shape behind the scenes, and according to Professor William Liebenberg, this moment marks a turning point in how the world may soon settle international trade, because the BRICS alliance has now moved beyond theory and into live testing of a new gold-anchored settlement system called the Unit, a structure designed to operate outside the US dollar and outside SWIFT, creating an alternative financial rail that could permanently reshape how money moves between nations. The unit first entered its pilot phase in late October 2025 under the supervision of the International Research Institute for Advanced Systems, and by December, it was already being referenced in financial reporting from CCN and Forbes, confirming that this was no longer a rumor or speculation, but an active experiment in building a new settlement instrument for BRICS and its expanding network of trading partners. Unlike a traditional currency such as the dollar or the euro, the unit is not designed for everyday spending by the public, but rather as a digital settlement instrument used between institutions and countries to clear cross-border trade, allowing nations to exchange value without relying on dollar liquidity or Western-controlled payment channels. At the core of this system is a hybrid reserve basket that blends physical hard assets with national currencies, where 40% of the unit's value is anchored to physical gold, and 60% is divided equally among 5 BRICS currencies: the Brazilian real, the Chinese yuan, the Indian rupee, the Russian ruble, and the South African rand, creating a structure that balances monetary diversity with the stability of gold. This basket is recalculated daily as currency values move relative to gold, which means the unit adjusts automatically to maintain purchasing power rather than being eroded by inflation or political manipulation, making it fundamentally different from fiat systems that depend entirely on debt and central bank policy. Right now, the unit is still in research pilot mode and has not yet been formally adopted by BRICS central banks, but the infrastructure is being built, the accounting system is live, and the valuation mechanism is already functioning, which means the foundation for real-world settlement has already been laid. The reason this is happening now is not random, because BRICS nations have been steadily reducing their reliance on the US dollar for trade, driven by sanctions risk, geopolitical pressure, and the growing realization that dollar-based systems allow foreign governments to influence domestic economies, making an independent settlement rail not just desirable, but strategically necessary. Gold plays a central role in this design because it is the one monetary asset that cannot be printed, frozen, or politically altered, which means anchoring 40% of the unit to physical gold gives participating countries a neutral store of value that sits outside the control of any single nation or central bank. At the same time, the digital nature of the unit allows it to operate on modern settlement rails, enabling faster clearing, lower transaction friction, and real-time balancing between currencies and gold, without needing SWIFT or correspondent banking networks that currently dominate global payments. This is where digital assets such as XRP become relevant, because while there is no official connection between XRP and the unit, the technical reality is that fast settlement ledgers could act as liquidity bridges between national currencies and the unit itself, enabling instant conversion, routing, and reconciliation across different monetary systems. If the unit eventually runs on tokenized or blockchain-based rails, assets designed for high-speed settlement could theoretically provide the plumbing that moves value between currencies and the unit in real time, even though no formal partnerships have been announced at this stage. Should the unit scale beyond the pilot phase, the implications for the global financial system would be enormous, because countries using it would no longer need SWIFT to clear their trades, meaning payment messaging and settlement would shift away from Western-controlled infrastructure into a parallel BRICS-based financial network. Over time, this would also reduce global demand for US dollars, as more international trade is settled in units instead of dollars, weakening the dollar's role as the world's dominant settlement currency without requiring any dramatic or sudden collapse. Central banks could also begin holding units as part of their reserve systems, not as a replacement for all currencies, but as a diversified settlement asset backed partly by gold and partly by major emerging market currencies, providing stability without dependence on any single country. Several long-term trends make this evolution realistic, including the global push toward de-dollarization, the enduring role of gold as a hedge against financial instability, the efficiency of digital settlement technology, and the growing share of world trade now controlled by BRICS economies. These forces suggest that broader adoption between 2028 and 2030 is not fantasy, but a logical extension of what is already being built, especially as nations seek trade systems that reduce exposure to Western financial pressure and geopolitical leverage. What makes this moment even more striking is that in 2024, Prof investigated the idea of a BRICS unit and was told by financial gatekeepers that it was inaccurate and not real, only for the same system to quietly enter pilot phase less than 2 years later, proving that the infrastructure was always being prepared behind the scenes. Now, with CCN and Forbes confirming the existence of the pilot, the unit is no longer speculation, but a working prototype of a new settlement architecture built around gold, sovereign currencies, and digital rails. Although it is not yet a global currency and does not instantly replace SWIFT or the dollar, the unit represents a shift toward collateral-based settlement rather than debt-based money, and that change alone alters how power, trade, and financial sovereignty operate in the modern world. Whether the unit becomes a dominant force depends on how quickly it moves from pilot phase to live institutional use. But the structure already exists, the valuation already functions, and the geopolitical incentives are now aligned in its favor. In the evolving story of global finance, the BRICS unit is not a headline event designed to shock the public, but a quiet mechanism being built in the background, ready to redraw the architecture of international money when the switch is finally turned on. If this breakdown helped you understand what is really happening behind the headlines, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share your thoughts in the comments, and join our Telegram group via the link in the comments for daily updates and research-based discussions, because we inform and you choose.